as I said, the whole idea of equating GDP with the good life is not a good idea. It's not a good idea because if you think about it, that's a form of reductionism. And it's a form of reductionism whereby so many emotional hemispheres that make up a human being is not really captured by the whole idea of GDP. The whole idea of unrequited love, for example, cannot be reduced into a tabular data that people who regularly refer to the GDP can actually make sense of. The whole idea of a mother who has to have hope even when that autistic child may turn out to be nothing more than shattered dreams somewhere in the future. It's not something that the whole idea of GDP can capture effectively. The whole idea of fear, the whole idea of a family man struggling to put bread on the table, struggling to fulfill that idea of crafting a better tomorrow for his children, can never be captured by the whole idea of GDP. The person who has to work in an environment that takes away his dignity, his mental health, his spiritual well-being, again, those things cannot be captured by GDP. So this whole idea of reducing society's raison d'être, society's reason for existence, to the whole concept of GDP is in itself something that does not add any value to us. And you may be wondering at this point, what has this all got to do with the whole idea of freedom insofar as crafting your own set of goals? Because if you really take the trouble to look around, you will discover something that is happening not only in Singapore but all around the world. Now, whole droves of young people these days are not getting married. I mean, they don't mind screwing around, but they're not getting married. And even those who are getting married today don't see the benefits of raising a family. And you even find that a lot of youths don't want to work. I mean, they don't see the point of working because they already figured out how the game is played. The harder the work, the more they're going to give out and end up like their dads. And this is something that unfolded in Japan, whereby you get so many young people today who just take on temporary jobs, and some of them have PhDs in molecular physics. And they just work in Starbucks, earn enough, and what they do is they go off to Nepal, they go off to Bhutan for a few months and come back again, and the whole cycle continues. And these are all, in my view, people who have given up in life in one way or another. These are people who have resigned themselves to a state of mind whereby they have said, listen here, I am powerless against the forces of demand and supply. I no longer fit in. I'm the nail that sticks out like a sore thumb. And it wouldn't surprise me if a hammer came down and squished me. I mean, these people are all united not by greatness, but by the whole idea that they have not in a position to fulfill their dreams. And so they've given up on their dreams. And many of these people play games. They play games because gaming is a way for you to transcend your mediocrity. It's a way to liberate yourself from whatever weaknesses that you may have. Be it the idea that you're shy with girls, the idea that you stammer, the idea that you masturbate 3 times a day and nobody knows about it. I mean, things like that. I mean, it's conceivable that these are the, what do you call, the ideal conditions that makes up the mindset of a gamer. present company included, of course. And this is something that we should not shy away from or be coy about. Having said that, that doesn't mean that gaming is in itself a place where only misfits and the lunatic fringe usually hang out. That's far from the case. In fact, gaming itself offers us a way of breaking away from this whole idea of seeing the world only in narrow and causative terms of defining things in GDP definitions. That's not the way in which gaming works. Gaming has many attributions, and these attributions actually feed into what you call the health of the nation. Not only its physical health, but also its mental health, spiritual well-being, morale, outlook in life. And the reason why we do that in gaming is because we want people to come back again and again. That's the whole idea of gaming. I mean, it's tough to get somebody to buy into an idea of gaming seriously, whereby they're prepared to part with their money. It's easy to get them to play Sudoku. It's easy to get them to play Pac-Man. It's easy to get them to even play World of Warcraft. But in order to play our type of game, what is required is not only a certain level of maturity, but the illusion that the dreams of a human being can actually be actualized. But unbeknown to the gamer, he is also being programmed, because if he's watching us, we are also watching them. And if they are programming us with thoughts, we are also subconsciously programming them with thoughts. I mean, it's a snaky process, a game of cat and mouse, but it can be done in a very benign manner. I could, for example, come up with the idea of changing just a bullet in a typical Armalite that we usually manufacture in the virtual. Now, this Armalite uses a bullet that is known as a plasma pulse, and it fits very much like a cartridge into the carbine known as the M31. And what you have to do is you turn it, and it's good for 1,000 shots. Basically, we even program a cheat that allows many gamers to actually extend the life of their what you call plasma capsules, and which we refer to as PCs. So in the game, PCs are something that most people have, because most people are armed in the game. And I could just change something like this, and if I change it and I persuade people that it's much better to revert back to, let's say, gunpowder, then what you have is you have a whole group of people buying muskets. Now, this is something that can be engineered. Consent can be engineered in a game. And whenever you are playing a game and you are pressurized in order to buy that cheat or buy that level of power, trust me, the people that actually pique your interest are people like me, because I know what you think. But to know what you think, I need to get into your mind. I need to observe you very much in a way that the hunter observes an animal. I need to be sensitive of the intonation of your voice. In the case of the internet, I need to make a guesstimate, because I can't see you. I need to be mindful of whether you are prepared to invest your time in this whole experience. I need to probe what are your social networks. Are you a lawyer? Are you a doctor? Do you have a predilection for illicit trade, for example? So all these flaneur, as the French would say, ideas come into play. And this is when I realized that when I began to build up a mental picture of a typical human being, so many things can drive a person the moment he wakes up, and even before his feet touches the ground. So many things. And that leads us to the next logical question. If so many things can drive a human being, to do the things they do, and to say the things they say, and to even think the things they think, then why are we reducing everything down to its most primitive and basic form, known as the GDP? Doesn't make sense to me.